Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the bright side of basketball. Today, I want to talk about a team that has been worrying me a little bit, at least compared to what we anticipated for them. And that team is, of course, the Minnesota Timberwolves. Sorry, I have Anthony Edwards up. Nothing wrong with him specifically. He's been playing phenomenal, but that is one of the issues I have with this Timberwolves team. I feel like we have Anthony Edwards playing at this level that's, amazing. He's shooting nearly 40% from three, about 50% from the field. He's doing all these things that you want him to do as a star player, but the team is still struggling to beat decent teams. And it's not even like they're struggling to beat only the top tier. Obviously, they're struggling to beat the top tier. Everyone is. But specifically when we look at their game log, basically since the start of the season, obviously, preseason doesn't matter. They beat the Timberwolves. I mean, they beat the Trailblazers, which is decent. Then they lost to the Lakers, beat the Pacers, lost to the Nuggets, lost to the Lakers, beat the Hornets, beat the Nets, lost to the Knicks, beat the Jazz, beat the Kings, beat the Jazz, beat the Kings, lost to the Nuggets, beat the Mavericks, beat the Wizards, lost to the Suns, lost to the Kings, and now tonight they're going to be playing against the Thunder, which I don't think it's crazy to assume that they're probably going to lose that game, with all due respect. But yeah, I don't know. It's just really worrying me. I feel like a part of it could be coaching, purely because we're seeing these situations, specifically when we look at the Phoenix game where they were up 8 points with about 50 seconds to go and they managed to lose it. And a lot of that I feel like is based on just bad coaching, or just ego. That's a major part of it. I feel like Anthony Edwards was he was shit talking, he was doing all this talking, and they couldn't finish out the game. There was a severe lack once they got up. Boom. Now Anthony Edwards isn't setting, not setting screens, but now he's no longer, he's not trying to box people out on rebounds, and that's kind of what led to that loss. And as well as the reason why I want to call out Coach Finch as well is specifically in that Suns game, there was multiple times in which he could have called a timeout within those last 50 seconds. He just didn't. He just didn't call anything. Specifically, after the initial turnovers, where Colin Gillespie stole the ball off an inbound. After the delay game, they wanted called against Dylan Brooks, but obviously they didn't get it because it wasn't really a delay a game, and you can't be expecting that. And then obviously later on, Anthony Edwards missed free throws. There was no point at which we see Chris Finch going to them and being like, "Hey, lock in. Come on, we're up 8, 50 seconds to go. Let's finish this out." You just have, I feel like you just have a lack of leaders on that team. You have a lack of vets that will actually go out there and call people out in that way. Obviously, Rudy Gobert isn't really that. Anthony Edwards, I feel like he would call players out, but I can definitely imagine him struggling with accountability on himself. But obviously, it's hard to say. They did get 2 losses in a row, which I think is very, very, very telling. Specifically, the loss yesterday was very bad. To have that be against the Kings and to have it finish out on an overtime is quite bad, especially because in the fourth quarter, they got outscored by the Kings, and then in overtime, they got outscored by the Kings. I feel like at no point you should be getting outscored by the Kings. Obviously, yeah, DeMar DeRozan, good game, but who cares? DeMar DeRozan's 95 years old. Okay, what is this? What is going on here? Timberwolves, you guys are way better than this, and I think that's the thing that's so scary for me as far as them is last season they went to the conference finals. Year before that, they went to the conference finals. They swept the Suns 2 years ago. They're playing phenomenally in the playoffs, but it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if you're playing well in the playoffs if you don't make it. You know what I mean? Right now they're in the play-in. Obviously, I don't think they're going to be a play-in team to finish off the season, but if they don't want that to be the case, they need to make a trade. They need to do something. They need to switch things up. They need to do something in order to obviously make the team a lot better. I think one big thing that they're missing obviously is point guard play. They essentially don't have a good point guard on the team. The best option is Rob Dillingham, or Mike Conley, who's 65 years old. He's going to be getting his pension soon, everything like that. I respect it, go retire. But, yeah, I don't know. They're just very upsetting Rob Dillingham isn't very good. I think they need to probably package him, maybe some picks. I did like the idea of them possibly going out and getting Ja, but I feel like it doesn't help the culture. Ja's a good player, and he fits he hasn't been a good player this season, but he fits the role that they need. But they need someone to come in here and you know, get them playing well. I think they need 2020 Chris Paul. That's what they need. Shame he's retiring. But yeah, they need 2020 Chris Paul. They need the Chris Paul that went to OKC and got them to lock in. They need the Chris Paul that went to Phoenix and got them to lock in. I don't know what the equivalent of that would be in the modern NBA at this current moment, but that's what they need. Okay, that's genuinely what they need. They just need someone to be able to come in here and be like, all right, youngins, we're gonna lock in from now on. They need something like that, or they just need a coach that's able to do that. But obviously, the coach won't help their on-court ball handling, so maybe get the point guard too. But in general, this team needs a lot. I feel like if they want to actually be able to not just get swept in the second round against the Nuggets, Rockets, or OKC. So, I like I said, I can see it. I can see them doing well, but yeah, I feel like there needs to be a lot that needs to be done before that can happen. Especially because, okay, so we're here on Cleaning the Glass for Anthony Edwards, and as you guys can see, his assist percentage has dropped by essentially 6% since the 2023-2024 season, and I think a major part of that is purely just due to the lack of a secondary ball handler. Originally, as you see, when he goes up to being in the 92nd percentile of the assist percentage, that was when Mike Conley was definitely a lot better of a player and a lot less washed, with all due respect to Mike Conley. Because I do love Mike Conley, but obviously, he just hasn't been what they need this year, especially. But yeah, it's honestly a shame just to have such a good point guard gradually become washed and have you see it affect the team this heavily, especially when they don't have, someone to make up for that. They don't have the ability to have, Rob Dillingham come out and run a good shift. And I think that's a huge problem for this team. I think another thing I would really like to see is possibly a trade with Naz Reid or maybe even Dante DiVincenzo, package them up with a pick. Just try to get a point guard that works. But yeah, I guess the main issue is I can't exactly think of a point guard I think will fit what this team needs. But, I hope to see them do more. I hope to see them achieve what we all know that they can, what we've seen them achieve. I still remember that season where, Anthony Edwards was taking out all the legends, He beat Kevin Durant. He beat LeBron. You know what I mean? We need some more of that. And obviously, again, like I said, it's not on Anthony Edwards. He has been playing phenomenally. He's been scoring the ball well. He's been shooting the ball well. He's been doing everything that you need him to do. He's been playing defense. I guess the main issue is it's genuinely just in the clutch. We haven't seen him be able to lock in when he needs to. Like I was talking about before in the Suns game where he just was not boxing out anymore, basically leaving Royce O'Neal wide open for a rebound, scoring, beginning the comeback that got them to lose the game. They were up 8 points and with 50 seconds left to go. And yeah, I just really hope to see more from them. I hope to see them do more. But yeah, that's pretty much it. Thank you guys for watching. Let me know what you think in the comments below.